Welcome to our viewers from Neepawa District and all across Canada. This is NACTV Reads the News. Today I am reading the Neepawa banner dated February the 17th, 2017. And on our front page we have a story about the historic pond hockey on Clear Lake. We have several photos showing the Riding Mountain Relief Camp All-Stars, which were in green, and they were moving the puck forward to the Young Gun Defenders in red. And there's also a picture of the original Relief Camp All-Stars taken at Clear Lake back in 1933. We'll have some more photos on further back in the newspaper. The Winter Adventure Weekend, held in Wasagamine February 10 to 12 and hosted by Riding Mountain National Park, Friends of the Riding Mountain National Park, and Clear Lake Country, was an outstanding success. There were numerous events to attract people of all ages, recreating a 1933 game between the Riding Mountain Relief Camp All-Stars and the Young Guns. A Dauphin team was not available, and this took place on Clear Lake. Park staff suited up for the All-Stars team, and younger park workers, family and friends, played for the Young Guns. The game resulted in a 4-4 tie. Elsewhere, on Amphitheater Hill, 80 kids registered for a toboggan party, and Friends of Riding Mountain National Park were kept busy renting out snowshoes and fat bikes. One would think, looking at the number of vehicles in the community, that the attendance was similar to that seen during the summer. And more photos on page 8. Just highlight a little bit of the action that some of the onlookers had snapped just before the game at Clear Lake. And they have a photo here of both the Relief Camp All-Stars and the Young Guns all together getting a picture taken. That was an excellent activity that they had going on up there. And local school divisions are coping with cutbacks to funding. Faced with cutbacks to provincial funding, local school divisions have some tough decisions to make as they prepare their budgets. On February 1st, the provincial government made their funding announcement for the 2017-2018 school year. While overall education funding is increasing by $13.1 million, only one division within the banner's coverage area will see an increase in funding over last year. In the past, the funding formula guaranteed divisions the same level of funding as the previous year. However, the new formula only guarantees 98% of the previous year's amount. This year, Rolling River School Division, Pine Creek School Division, and Turtle River School Division will all receive less from the provincial government. Rolling River will see their funding fall by $203,448, which is a 2% decrease. Pine Creek will see their funding fall by $128,110, which is 1.7% decrease. And Turtle River will see their funding fall by $109,000, which is a 1.5% decrease. Beautiful Plains School Division is the only area division that will be receiving more from the provincial government. Their funding will rise by approximately $100,000, which is 1%. With divisions expecting to receive at least the same as last year, the funding announcement has created some challenges as school boards put the final touches on their budgets. In Rolling River, the 2% decrease in provincial funding will result in a number of changes over 2016. Staffing will be cut by 1.4 full-time equivalent positions and see the elimination of the assistant superintendent and contingency positions. There will also be a decrease in education assistant supports by 6.6 hours per day. Programs will also see some changes. The pre-kindergarten program at Douglas Elementary School will be eliminated, and there will be decreases to the outdoor education program supplies, Rivers Collegiate Hockey Academy supplies, and professional development budget. The division will be maintaining band, home economics, industrial arts, and power mechanics programs. They will also continue to upgrade computer equipment, as well as maintain device-to-student ratios. After a decade of declining enrollment, the division has seen the numbers move the other way. They started the 2016 school year with 1,729 students, 28 more than the year before, and are forecasting the addition of 22 students at the start of the 2017 school year. Overall, Rolling River's proposed budget will be increasing by 1.9%. The increase will be funded by local property taxes. The proposed budget will see the mill rate rise by 5.9%, meaning that for a property valued at $100,000 with no changes to assessment, property owners will pay $30.20 more for their residential, $17.45 more for their farmland, and $43.65 more for their commercial properties compared to 2016. The Rolling River School Division's pre-budget consultation meeting will take place February 22 at the division office in Minnedosa. The Pine Creek School Division Board is still deliberating how they will make up the $130,000 cut in provincial funding. Secretary-Treasurer Robin Winters explains that the trustees have spoken about whether or not some initiatives, such as capital projects, may or may not continue or move forward in the division as originally planned. She added that the board has agreed that maintaining employment levels in all departments is a priority and are not looking at cuts to its human resources. While they are facing a cut in provincial funding, Winters said they are projecting an increase in enrollment for the 2017 school year. Without making any changes, Winters said the board is looking at an increase they were not expecting to have to face. Pine Creek has substantially less than the 4% allowable surplus level that the government has mandated, and therefore does not have the ability to draw down levy amounts by applying surplus. These funds have been depleted since the 2014-15 fiscal year, she said. While local property owners are likely to see an increase, Winter explained that the increase isn't likely to be as large as that experienced for the 2016 school year, which was required to catch up on previous years. The budget consultation meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 28, at William Morton Collegiate Institute in Gladstone. Much like Pine Creek School Division, Turtle River School Division is facing some challenges from a funding cutback of $109,000 or 1.5%. Shannon Desjardins, Secretary-Treasurer, explained, "I was expecting and hoping for the same funding as last year. Last year, the division triggered the formula guarantee, promising them the same level of funding as the year before. The new guarantee promises at least 98% of the previous year." Desjardins explains that they are still in the early stages of the budget process and can't say much about how the cutback will impact the budget. However, receiving less funding will always have its challenges, she explained. Property owners are likely to face an increase, but at this time, the amount is unknown. Their public meeting will be held on March the 7th. The Beautiful Plains School Division is the only division in the area to see its funding increase, but not as much as in the past year. This year, Beautiful Plains will see its provincial funding rise by 1%, though Secretary-Treasurer Shannon Bays said that in previous years, an increase of approximately 5% was received. The funding formula is based primarily on enrollment, which is one of the reasons the Beautiful Plains School Division is seeing an increase in funding. For the 2016 school year, the division added 70 full-time equivalent students compared to September 2015. Bays said that the board hasn't yet determined how the increase will be allocated. All areas are being examined, including any initiatives, programs, and investments during these discussions, she said. Once the proposed budget has been finalized, they will better know the impact on local ratepayers. The Beautiful Plains School Division's pre-budget meetings are set for February 27 in Carberry and March the 1st in Neepawa. And a fun event to showcase Canada's top winter activities. In honor of Canada's 150th birthday, the Neepawa Cross Country Ski Club has organized an event combining three of the country's favorite winter sports. The first ever snow-a-thon will take place February 26 and feature sledding, tobogganing, snowshoeing, and cross-country skiing. Ski Club member Heather Douglas explains that they were looking for a unique way to celebrate Canada's milestone birthday and came up with this triathlon-like event. She explains that the goal of the event is to give people some experience and chance to get outside and be active with their friends and families. Participants can take part as individuals, families, or as part of a team. Douglas said they are hoping they will even get some corporate teams participating. The events can be done by all participants, or different team members can do each leg. While there will be stopwatches available for competitive participants, she added that those who just want to come out for some fun don't have to be timed. Participants will go up and down the toboggan hill 4 times, snowshoe either the 0.6 kilometer or 1.3 kilometer trail, and ski either the 2 kilometer or 4 kilometer trail. Snowshoes will be available for rent, but participants need to bring their own skis and toboggan. Douglas added that there are some new snowshoe loops that have been cut, and this will give people a chance to try these different trails. It should be a lot of fun and a good experience, she said, adding, it's a chance to enjoy winter in a beautiful facility. The event will also allow the club to showcase their facility, the Langford Neepawa Winter Park, located east of Neepawa on Highway 16. Douglas explained that volunteer Mary Ogami works hard to keep the trails groomed, as well as the bush trimmed and maintained to keep the trails in good condition. Registration will run from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m., and the activities will last until about 4 p.m. Participants are being asked to pre-register by email at neepawaski@gmail.com. There will be some hot chocolate and snacks provided. The cost is $5 for individuals and $10 for families. In its 3rd year, the Neepawa Cross Country Ski Club has kids from 5 to 13 years old and meets for an hour on Sunday afternoons. Douglas explains that they teach the members techniques, including both cross-country and skate skiing. The membership fees provides instruction for both parents and their children, as well as the use of a pair of skis for the season. Lots of parents come with their children, said Douglas. For more information about the ski club, people can contact Douglas at 841-0711, Mary Ogami at 476-2402, or Paul Koschel at pinecreekschooldivision.mb.ca. And that'll be a fun event. Love of reading is in the air in Neepawa. I Love to Read Month is back in Manitoba, and Hazel M. Kellington School and the Neepawa Public Library are both excited about the chance to share and encourage a love of literacy for all. Patrons who stop in at the library will notice that many books have been wrapped in festive red paper as part of a blind date with a book campaign. The idea is for readers to choose a wrapped book at random and take it home, a nice surprise that could lead to expanding their literary horizons. The library is also hosting story time for children ages 2 years to school age, every Friday this month from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., continuing until March the 3rd. Children and their caregivers get to enjoy a story or two read by local volunteers, a game of I Spy, and a themed craft. Over at HMK, reading is being celebrated in a big way as well. Principal Alan Hankey says a committee of staff worked hard to plan I Love to Read Month and make it fun for children and teachers alike, with special activities and themes. The theme is Reading is So Much Fun, says Hankey. We had a kickoff assembly on Friday, February 3rd, and the whole school got together. They spent about 10 minutes just reading in the gym together. It was pretty neat. We had all the kids in there, and the big buddies and the little buddies were together, and they were reading. Hankey says fostering a love of reading in all students is something the Beautiful Plains School Division takes very seriously, noting that right from the start, kindergarten teachers spend a lot of time reading stories and talking about reading with the children. All that kind of stuff, all those pre-reading activities, really get highlighted pretty heavily in kindergarten, Hankey attests. It's pretty amazing to see the kids acquire that ability to read. Kindergarten classes have also been having guest readers come in, including parents, grandparents, and special guests, to share a beloved and special story with students. And Minnedosa hires a new economic development officer. On the heels of the recent release of the 2016 census data, the timing is opportune for a new outlook on the strategic direction of the town of Minnedosa, which recorded an approximately 5% drop in population during a period when other rural centers are reporting record growth. Over the past week, interviews concluded and the Minnedosa Area Community Development Corporation announced the appointment of Chantel Parrott to the role of Economic Development Officer. The role was slated for vacancy after the resignation of Vern May last month, who has been selected for the role of Executive Director for Portage Regional Economic Development in Portage La Prairie. He started his new position this week. The job posting saw active interest from applicants, with 19 resumes submitted from across the country and beyond. The successful candidate, Parrott, is a graduate of the Recreation Management and Community Development program offered at the University of Manitoba and has spent time in the finance, education, and tech development field over the past several years. Her passion for working with our existing business community to excel and flourish, as well as her focus on ensuring the attractiveness of Minnedosa and area as a destination for young families, offers a preview of what may be expected for the CDC portfolio over the years to come. Additionally, her history in the community has highlighted the potential for what may be missed opportunities for tourism development in the area. Coming into the role after a period when the Economic Development Program has experienced heightened visibility, Parrott had this to say about being awarded the position. I'm very excited to have been selected as the EDO for Minnedosa and area, and to work with the community to build on the momentum of our previous EDO. There are many opportunities to grow and improve ourselves, and I look forward to being a part of that progress. The selection committee included representation from each of the CDC's funding partners, as well as the outgoing EDO, Vern May. After the interviews and selection, May has had an opportunity to work directly with his successor. I was glad to be invited to participate in the selection process alongside the board, says May. If the first few days are any indication of what Minnedosa can expect, the development portfolio is in great hands here. I predict that with Chantel Parrott directing the program, you'll forget about that last guy that was here in no time at all. I am very encouraged by what I have learned about her focus, and am confident that she will secure board support to advance this vision. Parrott has been back in Minnedosa for the past 2 years and has been actively involved on the executive for the Minnedosa Fitness Center and has established relationships with the current business community, which will be a benefit in her new role. The enthusiasm and energy within the community is inspiring, and we really do have an awesome community to be proud of. I look forward to working toward making Minnedosa an even better place to live, work, and play, and to hearing from the community about how we can make that happen, said Parrott. Parrott took command at 39 Main Street South on Monday, February the 13th. And we wish her all the best in her new role. And editor Kate Jackman Atkinson's column, My Perspective, and this one is entitled Inequity Needs a Solution. Look down any main street in rural Manitoba and you're guaranteed to see one thing: lots of small businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of the Canadian economy, but nowhere is this more evident than in rural communities in Manitoba. Statistics Canada reported that in 2015, 97.6% of the province's businesses were small. Small business owners who want to sell their business face a myriad of challenges, the hardest of which is to find a buyer. You don't have to look far to find a number of small businesses that sit for sale for a while, waiting for the right buyer. Many small businesses are a family affair, with children growing up in the stockrooms, dining rooms, and at the tills. These children are ideally positioned to take over the business once their parents want to step back. They have years of experience and know the business inside out. Additionally, passing a business down to their children is the dream of many entrepreneurs when they first open their doors. The problem is that the Income Tax Act makes this an expensive dream. When a person sells their small business, family farm, or fishing corporation to an unrelated third party, the difference between the sale price and price paid to originally purchase the business is considered a capital gain. A certain portion of the proceeds from the sale are also tax-free through a capital gains exemption. The rest of the proceeds are taxed at the capital gains tax rate. However, if that person were to sell the business to a family member, which is not considered an arm's length sale, they lose this more favorable tax treatment, and all of the profit is classed as dividends, which are taxed at a higher rate than capital gains. When given two possible motivations for an action, Revenue Canada assumes that Canadians are always motivated by tax avoidance, which leads to this unequal treatment. When a parent sells their business to a family member, Revenue Canada assumes that parent is only doing it on paper as a way to take money out of the corporation without paying the associated taxes, yet retain control. While I am sure this has happened, the end result is that for all of the small business owners looking to legitimately retire and pass their business on to a child, there is a significantly higher cost than if they were to sell it to a third party. That's not good news for the rural communities that rely on the products and services offered by our small businesses. Last summer, federal NDP MP Guy Caron put forward a private member's bill that would change this unequal treatment. A similar bill was introduced by Liberal MP Emmanuel Dubourg in a previous session. The bill went to vote on February 8, where it was defeated. Speaking on behalf of the government, MP Jeanette Petitpas-Taylor, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance, explained that while the bill was well-intentioned, the government was very concerned about unintended consequences and whether it would really work. They worry that the exemption would unfairly benefit wealthy individuals instead of members of the broader middle class. In all, she explained, the Minister of Finance believes that the proposed amendment would cost the federal government between $350 million and $1.2 billion a year. MP Caron countered the claims, saying that he worked with tax experts to make sure the bill wouldn't be too costly for the government, and their estimate points to lost revenue between $75 and $100 million to level the playing field. Maybe this wasn't the right proposal, but this is an important case of inequity that deserves a solution. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business reports that 66% of small businesses will change hands in the coming decade. This is combined with the statistic that 1/3 of small and medium-sized business owners would like to see family members take over their business. We want to see businesses carry on with the best possible successor, and if that's an owner's child, there shouldn't be a penalty. Our communities can't afford it. And that's some real food for thought there. And Rita Friesen's Homebodies column entitled Gratitude. Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world. Sarah Ban Breathnach, American author, a proponent of living simply and living with gratitude for all that we have, inspirational speaker encouraging people to keep a journal of gratitude. Being thankful, grateful for life and living comes easily to me. Now, it was not always so. As a young single mother learning to live without a job, without a partner, without security, taught me to look for what is good in life, a habit that serves me well even as my body ages. The many little things that are blessings add up and brighten the journey. As I awoke this morning, the features of the room were no longer hidden by darkness. The days are lengthening. As I headed outside, I did not require the toque or heavy jacket. The sky was softer, the air sweeter. A lone raven called its way across the sky. The dogs were eager to walk, Miss Daisy grabbing Henry Hoover's portion of the lead and dragging him ever faster. I laughed aloud at the sure knowledge that spring is indeed coming. A salad for lunch. Marvel with me that in the middle of a prairie winter, fresh fruit and vegetables are readily available. Not the canned fruits and vegetables of my childhood. Processed Saskatoons, apples, strawberries, and raspberries are good, certainly better than none. We would not have envisioned eating zesty radishes, crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes and cucumbers from a store, summer fare from one's garden. And so, as I cut and sliced, I was grateful, conscientiously grateful. My home, big enough for me and mine, not fancy, not enormous. I walk in the door and I'm filled with gratitude. Imagine a home that is mine. I am not a refugee. I am not enslaved. These four walls and all that is within them, I am entitled to maintain and enjoy. I laugh with delight when the grader goes past, clearing the street, and when all I do is place my garbage at the curb and it's whisked away. How can one not be filled with gratitude? How can one be blind to the miracles of convenience? Sarah Ban Breathnach encourages us to actually record our moments of gratitude. Keep a journal. Mine would include the voice of an adult child calling to chat, an email from a friend far away, a Skype call with a cherished family member. It would include the smell of coffee, fresh baked bread, meatloaf, and hot chocolate. The jottings would include those moments when I stop and see my world, those moments of epiphanies that forever change how I see my world. Transcendent moments of awe will change us. For this, too, I offer gratitude. She always has such inspirational columns. And Beef Club members present speeches. The Neepawa and Area 4-H Beef Club held their communication evening on February the 6th. The judges were Lisa Pottinger, Kate Jackman-Atkinson, Marilyn Crew, Brent Sorensen, Daryl Gerard, and Dylan Oshanek. The winners were senior speech. First, Dylan Oshanek on A Day I Will Never Forget. Intermediate speech. First was Madison Tycrobe on global language. Second was Lauren Rosling on gluten. Is it a friend or a foe? And third was Brody Bjornson, the third house. And junior speech, first was Madison Robertson on being an only child. Second, Reagan Tycrobe on hot or cold. Third was Blake Rosling, top 10 ways to annoy your parents. That would be interesting. Intermediate one-person visual. First was Cora Baker, Everything But the Moo. Intermediate two-person visual. First was Josie and Rebecca Lynn Pedersen on Racing Through the Summer. Junior one-person visual first was Carson Baker on Cow Pie Cookie. Second was Tristan Bjarnson, My Greatest Day. Cloverbud one-person visual. First was Venna Bjarnson on Stars. The top two members from each category can move on to zones, which is March 10th at the Minnedosa High School. Good luck to those members. We would like to thank BMO for sponsoring the speech category. And handy workers prepare for Communications Night. The Gladstone Handy Workers 4-H Club held a meeting on February 9th. There were 13 members in attendance. Members heard a presentation about communications from Tanya Anderson and prepared for their own communications night. The club communications night will be held on February the 22nd at 7 p.m. in the Gladstone United Church Annex. The winners can then choose to move on to compete in the Central Plains Area Communications Competition in McGregor. The next club meeting will be held on March the 7th at 7:30 p.m. in the Gladstone United Church Annex. And we have a nice photo here of the Neepawa Natives Gymnastics group. On February the 6th, board members from the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation presented the Neepawa Novas Gymnastics Club with a $4,200 grant to help with the purchase of equipment, including mats. The money was part of a $41,200 in community fund grants announced during the 2016 grants luncheon. And I'm sure that will be a big help to that group. And out of Helen's Kitchen, cornbread. This year, Canada is celebrating 150 years since Confederation. I thought I would spend the next several months showcasing some old recipes in Canada's honor. Early metal stoves, imported in large numbers from Europe, came in a variety of boxy designs. By the 1840s, the first appearance of a true range stove, that is a flat-topped heat stove with an oven used for heating, baking, and cooking, were being manufactured in Canada. It was not until the 1850s that cookbooks were designed for cook stoves, and even then, no temperatures were given, since the stoves of that time had no thermometers. Cooks didn't rely on buzzers, timers, or thermometers. Here are the instructions from an old cookbook helping you guesstimate your oven temperature. While the cake is baking, care should be taken that no cold air enters the oven, only when necessary to see that the cake is baking properly. The oven should be an even, moderate heat, not too cold or too hot. Much depends on this for success. Cake is often spoiled by being looked at too often when first put into the oven. The heat should be tested before the cake is put in, which can be done by throwing on the floor of the oven a tablespoonful of new flour, If the flour takes fire or assumes a dark brown color, the temperature is too high and the oven must be allowed to cool. If the flour remains white after the lapse of a few seconds, the temperature is too low. When the oven is of the proper temperature, the flour will slightly brown and look slightly scorched. And a cornbread recipe from the 1860 Virginia housewife. Piece of butter the size of an egg, a pint of cornmeal, 2 eggs, new milk, a spoonful of yeast. Rub the butter into the cornmeal, make it a batter with the eggs and some new milk. Add the yeast, set it by the fire an hour to rise, butter little pans, and bake it. And a modern version of the cornbread from Helen's Kitchen is 1 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 3 teaspoons baking powder, a cup of cornmeal, 1/3 cup brown sugar, 1 cup milk, 1 egg beaten, and 1/3 cup oil. Combine the flour, salt, baking powder, cornmeal, and sugar in a bowl. In another bowl, combine the milk, egg, and oil. Add to the blended flour mix. Stir and pour batter into a greased 8 by 8 inch pan. Bake in a 350 oven for 35 to 40 minutes or until golden brown. We will go to the obituaries now. Helen Christopherson. With great sadness, we announce the passing of Helen Christopherson, dear wife, mother, grandmother, sister, aunt, and friend. On February 11th, 2017, Helen was called to her eternal rest at Third Crossing Manor after a lengthy battle with Parkinson's disease. The oldest of 13 children, Helen was born July 31st, 1940 in Steinbach, Manitoba, to Jacob and Anna Potker, and was baptized at the Steinbach Mennonite Brethren Church on July 24, 1955. Helen was a much-loved elementary school teacher for 39 years. She will be dearly missed. Helen was predeceased by her first husband, Neil, her parents, Jacob and Anna, and 2 sisters, Mary and Eleanor. She is survived by her husband, Monty, brothers Art, Sadie Potker, Jake, Dorothy Potker, Peter Potker, Ben, Darlene Potker, Philip, Heidi Potker, sisters Frida, Dennis Fast, Irene, Don Rochon, Betty, Reg Osborne, Edith, Kohler Huskins, Irma, Brian Esau, and by her daughter, Lenora Howard Buffy, foster daughter Suzanne, Martin Dirksen, and family, grandchildren Trad, Taryn, and Trent, and great-grandson Logan. The family would like to extend heartfelt thanks to the staff at Third Crossing Manor for their kind care given to Helen while she was with them. Funeral service was held on Wednesday, February 15th at 2 p.m. at the Zion Lutheran Church, Plumas, with interment at the Plumas Cemetery. Mary Lorraine Skanderbeg, May 24, 1951 to February 8, 2017. It is with broken hearts that we share the news of Mary's passing Wednesday evening, February the 8th. Mary leaves behind her husband Neville, daughter Angela, Hugh, son Ken, Jamie, stepdaughter Lori, Darwin, and stepsons Larry, Darylyn, and Brian, Sarah. Mary's grandchildren meant the world to her: Madden, Logan, Elise, Connor, Tyson, Tiana, Olivia, and Eve. Mary is lovingly remembered by her sister Carol, Wayne, nieces and nephews, and especially Miriam with family Gary, Danica, and Haley. She was predeceased by her mother, Margaret, and father, Henry. Mary was born and raised in St. James, Winnipeg. She was a young woman filled with a sense of adventure and fairness. The friendships Mary made as a young person turned out to last a lifetime. Janet, Janice, and Lynn. Mary's first marriage gave her the gift of 2 beautiful children. She was a supermom who would do anything for her kids. She would not hesitate to drive Ken through snowstorms for hockey games, and she was always front row center for every show Angela performed in. Mary worked as a teaching assistant, bringing fairness and dignity to the education of special needs students. Mary applied these same values to her work as a returning officer for the federal and provincial election offices. She soon started at Elections Manitoba, moving her way up to operations manager and, at the time of her retirement, deputy chief electoral officer. Mary cherished her time at Elections Manitoba, regarded as a mentor to many. Never one to sit still, she continued working as a consultant across the country. After a chance encounter, Mary met Neville, the man with whom she would spend the rest of her days. From their trips to Mexico and France to quiet times in the country, Mary and Neville filled their time together with adventure and love. Mary loved to share and speak about her blended family. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Robert Frost. We would like to thank the people at Cancer Care, Mary's home care workers, and Dr. Saper and all the staff at Gimli Hospital. A celebration of Mary's life is planned for Wednesday, February 15th at 2 p.m. at Chapel Lawn Funeral Home, Portage Avenue. In lieu of flowers, donations can be made to Cancer Care Manitoba Foundation. John David Kerr. Peacefully on Wednesday, February 1st, 2017, at the Gladstone Health Center, John passed away at the age of 87. John Kerr was born November 6, 1929, in Gladstone, Manitoba. He attended school at Palestine No. 17 and continued on to complete some high school in Gladstone. As a young man, he was a member of the AOTS group, a member of the United Church, a leading actor in several plays with the Young People's Group, as well as a hardball pitcher of the Palestine District ball team. John helped his father on the farm, developing a deep love of the land. He married Florence Nicholson September 20, 1952, and they settled on the family farm near Gladstone at Southeast 161411. In 1956, a flash flood caused John, Florence, and family to move to Grandview, where John then started as a brakeman for the CN Railroad. In 1957, the family moved to Dauphin to live with Florence's parents, Sidney and Margaret Nicholson. In 1958, with their 3 children, they bought a house located at 102 7th Avenue Northeast in Dauphin, where in 1960, John began carpenter work with McMunn Brothers. Soon after, in 1965, with their 4 children, the Kerr family returned to Gladstone, where John accepted a contract with the Gladstone Co-op building RTM homes. He went on to farm his own land, completing his first harvest with No. 1 wheat and malt barley, as well as building homes in Plumas, Langruth, and Gladstone, which kept him very busy. In 1970, John joined the Gladstone Volunteer Fire Department, where 8 years later he was voted fire chief and was a member for 25 years. In 1971, John and Florence were blessed with their 5th child and had firmly planted their family roots in the town of Gladstone. He was very involved in the community, always there to lend a helping hand or give advice when asked. A truly strong, hard-working, and respected man by everyone who knew him. Over his many years in Gladstone, he did numerous renovations, built many of the homes and some buildings in and around the area. In 1991, John produced his last wheat crop and sold the farm located southeast of town. John was an original founding member at the Third Crossing Museum, a member of the Legion Branch 110 for over 35 years. He was part of the Gladstone Curling Club and an avid golfer and member of the Gladstone Golf Club. He had many accomplishments, all of which we are so proud, and in 2010, he received the Community Service Award for years of dedicated service and enrichment of community life in Gladstone. John, with a twinkle in his eye, was a humble, honest man who loved to tease with a unique sense of humor. He loved to spend time outdoors and always made sure everything and everyone was taken care of. John was a dedicated husband of 64 years to the love of his life, a loving father to 5 children who were all proud to call him Dad, and a highly respected and honored man throughout his life, a true pillar of steel. John Kerr lived by the values he believed in as a father, with a firm, loving hand that guided his family through the years with love, honor, respect, dedication, and hard work. Predeceased by his parents, David Lewin and Mary Florentine McLean, brothers Howard, Lorne, Irene, Ronald, Joyce, and sister Grace Porsche, Edgar. Infant siblings, Neil, Mary, and Helen. Nephews, Kelvin and Kenneth Kerr. Left to cherish his memory are his wife Florence of 64 years, daughters Sharon, Glenn Hall, Daphne, Lloyd Hall, Colleen, and Geraldine, son Kimberly, Kathy, grandchildren Christine, John, Stephen, Sabrina, Patricia, Leandro, Catherine, David, Andrew, Aletha, Lee, and Michael. Great-grandchildren Liera, Sarah, Havana, Creole, Madison, Dominique, Gabriel, Donovan, Autumn, Jude, and Grayson. Cremation has taken place, a private graveside service to be held at a later date. In lieu of flowers, please make donations in memory of John Kerr to the Gladstone United Church. Terence Douglas Colasar. With profound sadness and heavy hearts, we announce the passing of Terence Douglas Colasar, beloved husband, father, and grandfather. Terry passed away January 22nd, 2017, at the age of 63, surrounded by family. Terry was born in Neepawa to Bernard and Marguerite Colasar on April 28, 1953. He was raised on a farm in the Spring Hill area. He attended school both in Spring Hill and Neepawa. It was at Neepawa School where he met the one true love of his life, Norma Dudenhofer. They began dating at age 17 and married on October the 20th, 1972. They spent some time living in Gladstone before they built a new home in Neepawa. They moved in 1990 to a farm in the Brookdale area. Terry worked for over 36 years for Manitoba Hydro, becoming district manager out of Carberry. He also operated a small farm at this time. Terry continued to work part-time until September of 2016, when his health would no longer allow him to. Terry and Norma had 4 daughters: Michelle, Jody, Charlene, Chris, Carrie, Sheldon, and Christy, Paul. They also had 6 grandchildren: Taryn, Mason, Kaylin, Cadence, Mackenzie, and Jordan. Terry was an avid outdoorsman. He loved hunting and fishing and won many awards for these activities. Terry enjoyed golfing, quadding, and snowmobiling with his friends. He loved to just have fun and a good time. The most important thing to Terry was his family. He enjoyed spending his free time with them and doing things such as watching hockey games, camping, having a family game night, boating, and most recently, sea-doing. Terry made sure to always be the one to organize a family dinner or barbecue every Sunday. Terry was a loving husband who took excellent care of his wife and family. He was the best father and grandfather and had special relationships with each and every family member. He was a kind person who was always willing to help others. He was always thinking of other people first, even while he was ill. He was concerned about others' well-being. Terry had a great sense of humor and was known for his silly pranks and mischievous grin. Terry was a hard worker. He would never quit working until a job was done, and it was done perfectly. He was a very intelligent man, self-taught, skilled, and knowledgeable in many different areas, such as mechanics, farming, carpentry, and finances, just to name a few. Terry was wise and trustworthy. He always had the right advice. There are many more positive things to say about Terry, too many to list. but to those that knew him, this is no surprise. Terry was predeceased by his granddaughter, Kiera, brother Dale, and his parents. He is survived by his loving wife of over 44 years, Norma, his daughters and their families, Michelle, Jody, Taryn, Charlene, Chris, Mason, Kaylin, Jordan, Carrie, Sheldon, Cadence, Mackenzie, and Christy, Paul. He is also survived by his siblings, Kathy, Carolyn, Colleen, Russell, and their family, as well as many other extended family and friends. We love and miss you so much. Thank you for everything and being perfect for us until we meet again. Love always, your family. I'll go back to the sports here. And just right off the top, the MJHL standings, Neepawa Natives are updated to February the 15th. They are 10th place out of 11 positions. A pair of recent wins have pushed the Manitoba Neepawa Natives back into playoff contention. These results are a reversal of fortune from this time last week, as the club was dealing with a disheartening 1-0 loss to the Swan Valley Stampeders on Wednesday, February the 8th. After that disappointing defeat, it could have been very easy for the players to simply go through the motions for the remainder of the MJHL season. What they decided to do instead was put in 2 incredible on-ice efforts and pick up 4 huge points in the standings. First, they picked up a 5-3 win over a longtime adversary, the Portage Terriers, on Friday, February the 10th. Ashton Anderson helped to lead the way for the Natives in the Portage victory, as he registered a pair of goals and an assist. Nolan Richards, Josh Silsky, and Justin Metcalf also scored in regulation for the Natives in the game. Goaltender Tyler Gutenberg made 39 saves to pick up his 8th win of the season. The victory also improved Neepawa's overall record to 13-31-5. After the Portage game, coach Dustin Howden said seeing the players refuse to give up on the playoffs is very positive. These guys have pride, and to see their character come through as it has recently is big, noted Howden. They want to win, not just for themselves, but also for the community. They know that Neepawa has opened up their arms for them, supported them in so many ways, and the players want to repay that. We believe we still have a chance at the playoffs, and we're not giving up on that. The Natives hoped to keep that momentum going on Sunday, February the 12th, when the Winnipeg Blues came to town. In this game, Natives forward Justin Metcalf led the way on the stat sheet with a 3-point night, 2 goals and 1 assist. Brad Marshall, Josh Blondeau, and Nolan Richards all tallied singles for the home side to come out on top. Evan Robert provided a solid 35-save performance for Neepawa. This second straight victory improved the Natives' regular season record to 14-31-5. After the game, Metcalf stated that the entire locker room is starting to feel they're finding their game at just the right time. It's not just 1 or 2 guys in there who are feeling good about the results and what they're contributing to those results. Every one of the guys is stepping up, whether it's that big goal or pass or blocked shot. We're all going at it and making plays, and it's easy to feed off that and support each other, said Metcalf. Neepawa has an important weekend ahead as they travel to Swan River on Friday, February 17, to face the Stampeders. Then on Sunday, they'll head to Winnipeg to play the Blues. And they have a photo here of Justin Metcalf scoring the first goal of the night against the Portage Terriers on February the 10th. And the THHL playoff update in the East semifinal, Neepawa versus Cartwright. Tonight, Neepawa will be at Cartwright at 8 p.m. On the 18th, Cartwright will be at Neepawa at 7:30 p.m. 22nd, Neepawa at Cartwright at 8 p.m. And if necessary, February 25th, 26th, and 28th will be again Cartwright, Neepawa, Neepawa, Cartwright, Cartwright at Neepawa. And there's bad blood already in the Neepawa Cartwright series. A hat trick, a penalty shot, an altercation between a player and a fan, and a police presence to close out the evening. Welcome to playoff hockey in the Tiger Hills Hockey League. While cooler heads ultimately prevailed, it's still fair to say that if the entire best-of-7 series between the Neepawa Farmers and Cartwright Clippers is anything like Game 1, it will be one for the ages. The opening game would see Neepawa come out on top on the scoreboard by a 4-1 margin. Lance Nugent led the way with a hat trick for the Farmers, while Ryan Manet closed out the night with a goal and an assist. But more importantly, this showdown may have set the tone for the rest of the series. It was a physical affair that has already created bad blood between the combatants. Perhaps getting a first-round bye served more as a hindrance than a help to the Farmers, as they couldn't get going in the first period. Cartwright, meanwhile, seemed a step ahead of their foe, as they had just completed a 3-1 series over Gladstone and still had their game legs under them. Fortunately, those first 20 minutes remained deadlocked at 0-0. In the second, Cartwright once again started strong. That eventually paid off as they scored the first goal of the night at 14:06, with Drew Haight earning the marker. That deficit seemed to wake up Neepawa as they started pressing for opportunities of their own. That work paid off as Lance Nugent scored at the midway point of the game to tie things up at 1-1. Late in the period, another power play for the Farmers offered them a shot at the lead. But instead, it was the Clippers who nearly took advantage, as they had a breakaway attempt with just seconds left in the period. The Cartwright player was taken down, and the referee assessed a penalty shot with no time remaining. On the chance, Farmers goaltender Curtis Nelson was able to stand tall and keep the biscuit out of the basket, ensuring it stayed tied 1-1 going into the third. In the final 20 minutes of regulation, the intensity both on and off the ice got kicked up to another level. It all began with the Neepawa Farmers coming out and putting consistent pressure on the Cartwright defensive unit. That quickly paid off as Nugent scored his second of the night, just 1:17 into the period, to give the Neepawa a 2-1 edge. Cartwright tried to counter, but couldn't create the chances they needed for the equalizer. Neepawa, meanwhile, kept pushing the pace. That soon led to another chance for Nugent, who made it count with his third goal of the game. After that, things out on the ice got a bit intense, as an altercation with 7:56 remaining resulted in players from both teams heading to the penalty box. The Cartwright player would then find himself thrown out of the game entirely after trying to start a fight on the way to the sin bin. As he left for the dressing room, that's when things got interesting, and there was allegedly an altercation between him and a fan. Eyewitnesses did confirm to the Banner that there was an intense verbal incident, but that did not escalate into anything physical. A pair of fans also had a discussion shortly thereafter, but fortunately it never moved beyond that point. As for the action back on the ice, things broke down quickly, with each club getting into it and taking a few penalties. Then, with just over 2 minutes left, the first real fight of the night broke out as Neepawa's Cam Tibbett and Cartwright's Connor Drury decided to throw hands. Both players earned game misconduct for that. The game finally closed out with Neepawa adding one more goal, with 5-3 seconds left on the clock to secure the 4-1 win and the first game in this best-of-7 series. And as the fans gathered in the lobby of the Yellowhead Center after the game, a pair of RCMP officers arrived to simply ensure the post-game activities remained civil. Fortunately, what happened on the ice stayed on the ice. If this is Valentine's Day Malie is any indication, there will be no love lost between these two clubs moving forward through this series. And that is the Neepawa banner for February 17th. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope you tune in next week.